What's up, everybody? Which camera am I looking at? Are we here? We're here.
We are here.
We're here in the middle. All right. What's up, people? How you doing? Welcome again to Seeking Skeptics. I'm Josh. This is Kyle. And we are going to discuss some things about the debate, things that really stood out to us, a little bit about some of the people who were actually debating, a little bit about how MSNBC and those who actually held the debate handled the debate and the aftermath of the debate, and kind of expand on some points that we think some candidates made that were really good. Again, I'm Josh, this is Kyle, and so we're going to start really by focusing, and this may or may not lose your attention, by focusing our conversation a little bit on Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard during the debate last night, I think you and I both can agree, was pretty on point with a lot of things she said.
She was a badass.
When it comes to pure content and when it comes to actual substantive things to say about foreign policy, she was nailing it.
So do you think she won the debate?
I don't think she won. I don't necessarily know if she won the debate. There's still plenty of things about Tulsi that I have reservations about.
The debate.
But I think that she definitely, and we're going to talk about this. We're segmenting this out into basically like a couple of different sections, right? Which is basically Tulsi against two candidates that we feel directly tried to address her and tried to undermine her, I guess maybe in a way, but failed beautifully. And beautifully, yeah, miserably, really, but like beautifully in the sense that it was so blatantly obvious that they had no responses to what she had to say, that they just went back to these political standing points and just acted like not political pundits, but they just went on their stump speeches, I guess.
It shows how, like, the debate's scripted. I mean, let's just be...
Well, yeah.
It's scripted in such an intense way that it's even hard to... normal people can watch it. I feel like most people who aren't political, when they watch the debate, they get turned off by it.
Sure.
Because it's so fake, and it's so disingenuous. Like, it's just...
Absolutely.
And I have a few clips that we're going to talk about. First,
we'll talk specifically. We'll frame this with the first person that we're going to talk about specifically is Mayor Pete. Now, Mayor Pete and Tulsi Gabbard had an interaction during the debate. For those of you who watched it, I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. But they were discussing, Tulsi decided to talk about experience as a military veteran as well as someone who's worked in Congress, and discussed Pete's inexperience in that regard, right, when it came to foreign policy, not being around to know really what's going on like she has, right? So
this clip is called Tulsi versus Booty, is what I called it.
Sure, that works.
So we're going to post that clip up.
Trash.
We're going to post that clip up, and we're going to talk about it.
Awesome. Is that going on here now?
Yeah, he's going to put...
Oh, sweet.
So he's going to post it up here.
Yeah, show me this. This is Kamala Harris.
This is the wrong clip.
This is a different clip.
Oh, this is a clip different.
Yes, we need Mr. Pete Buttigieg. He looks like a white man. You'll know.
Sorry.
Looks like a white.
I tried to label them with like little things in between them.
It's okay. You see how he eats his cinnamon rolls?
I've got Tulsi Gabbard in.
Pete Buttigieg. Have you seen how he eats them?
No.
He eats them like
this guy.
Like a squirrel. It's bizarre. No, that's Steve Schmidt actually talking about Tulsi Gabbard meeting with Assad. And we're going to discuss that even more later. Is the camera on us? Or is it like in this limbo? Where are we at right now? Just so I know if I need to like refer to the people that are watching.
This is the only camera.
So real quick,
this is the only camera. I've been looking over here the entire time. Yo, listen,
real quick.
I love you guys.
So
you guys are really who I love. I've been needing to talk
before
to
this
you.
clip starts, it's Tulsi.
Yes.
Goes on the attack a little bit with this, and can we run into the very beginning where she starts at the first 4-second mark just to be clear?
Yes.
All right, perfect. We're gonna start the clip.
Go ahead.
But I want to get back to Pete Buttigieg and this comment about experience. Pete, you But I want to get back to Pete Buttigieg and his comment about experience. Pete, you'll agree that the service that we both have provided to our country as veterans by itself does not qualify us to serve as commander-in-chief. I think the most recent example of your inexperience in national security and foreign policy came from your recent careless statement about how you as president would be willing to send our troops to Mexico. to fight the cartels. As Commander-in-Chief, leader of our armed forces, I bring extensive experience serving for 7 years in Congress, on the Foreign Affairs Committee, on the Armed Services Committee, on the Homeland Security Committee, meeting with leaders of countries around the world, working with military commanders of different commands, dealing with high-level national security briefings, understanding what's necessary, the preparation that I've gotten to walk in on day one to serve as Commander-in-Chief.
Congresswoman, thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'll allow you to respond.
I know that it's par for the course in Washington to take remarks out of context, but that is outlandish even by the standards of today's politics.
Are you saying that you didn't say that?
I was talking about U.S.-Mexico cooperation. We've been doing security cooperation with Mexico for years, with law enforcement cooperation and a military relationship that could continue to be developed with training relationships, for example. Do you seriously think anybody on this stage is proposing invading Mexico?
That's not what I said.
I'm talking about building up alliances. And if your question is about experience, let's also talk about judgment. One of the foreign leaders you mentioned meeting was Bashar al-Assad. I have, in my experience, such as it is, whether you think it counts or not, since it wasn't accumulated in Washington, enough judgment that I would not have sat down with a murderous dictator like that.
Congresswoman Gabbard, let me allow you to respond.
Thank you. You were asked directly whether you would send our troops to Mexico to fight cartels, and your answer was yes. The fact checkers can check this out. No. But your point about judgment is absolutely correct. Our Commander-in-Chief does need to have good judgment. And what you've just pointed out is that you would lack the courage to meet with both adversaries and friends to ensure the peace and national security of our nation. I take the example of those leaders who have come before us, leaders like JFK, who met with Khrushchev, like Roosevelt, who met with Stalin,
like Donald Trump.
Like Reagan, who met and worked with Gorbachev. These issues of national security are incredibly important. I will meet with and do what is necessary to make sure that no more of our brothers and sisters in uniform are needlessly sent into harm's way fighting regime change wars that undermine our national security. I'll bring real leadership and experience to the White House.
So much to unpack there, and we're going to try to be pretty brief about it. But the main things that I want to talk about really about this conversation is that Tulsi Gabbard brings up a valid point. And later on, I know there's an article that you had that refers to Pete actually saying these things about how he's going to go to Mexico, and they asked him, are you going to go to Mexico and go to war with the cartel? Are you going to take our army? And wasn't that what they said? And he directly said yes. From what I remember,
all she said was that so the claim that she made was you said you want to send troops to Mexico.
Yes,
that's it. He responded with, I didn't want to invade Mexico, which is not what she said. His response is that all I want to do is do training. All I want to do is do simple operations.
Sure.
That's literally what we do all over the world.
No, in the debate, he's saying these things. I'm talking about the actual time that in the actual interview. Whenever they asked him, would you go to war with the cartel? He said yes. I'm not talking about in the debate.
In the debate, he admits it. He admits it. So when you say if I said right now that I want to send troops to Mexico to train other people in that country how to fight and how to do that stuff, that's what we do all over the world. That is literally we are
partnerships. That's what he was trying to use it as a scapegoat. Is what I'm saying.
No.
He literally says
it's not a scapegoat. No, it is what we do. That is part.
He tried to make it seem as if he was trying to frame it as if it was a partnership with Mexico, like we do with other countries, right? Where we do training exercises with other countries or corroborate with other countries. Now, hang on.
Have you watched the video? What he said?
Yes, and they ask him that question. They say to him, would you go to war with the cartel, with the army? Like, is this something that you would do? Like, are you going to go that far? And he said yes.
He did say yes.
He directly says yes to that question, and she's pointing that out. She's saying that you're going to go to war with these cartels. He then tries to shift the narrative away. He then tries to recover, and he does that thing where he gets all nice and prim and proper and tries to be a politician and say, no, I wasn't saying that. How dare you say that I said that? Something that he directly said. But instead of saying it how she said it, he rephrases her question and says, oh, you think that I want to go to, like, I'm going to invade Mexico? And it makes it sound like what she's saying is so outrageous, so crazy, so out of left field, what she's saying. And it's not what she said at all. That's a typical move of anyone who's trying to lie their way out of a situation. They are they try to find a way to shift the narrative to either make themselves the victim or fit the narrative they want it to fit. You know what I'm saying? If there's an abusive relationship that you and I are having, I'm going to try to do everything that I can to make sure it's gaslighting. It's textbook gaslighting is what he was doing to her in that situation. And now, one thing that I absolutely hate is the fact that he's getting all these hooting and hollering people in the audience, because these people
they're wanting zingers.
They're wanting zingers. They're wanting that drama, and he's providing that drama. But the thing is, that drama is empty drama. That drama is actually dangerous and is actually super insane that people in the media right now on Twitter and on Facebook and all these articles you'll see where they say Buttigieg trashed Tulsi in this interaction. Yeah. He did not. Well, she literally pointed those things out to him. And then when she responded to the things that he said, when he responded, she literally says to him, I didn't tell you that I didn't say that you were going to go invade Mexico. I'm saying that you are, not willing to meet with our friends. And when he brings up Assad, they always bring up Assad with Tulsi Gabbard because right now they're wanting to make her look like a bad guy. And they point to these meetings with Assad and they point to the meeting with Trump and they say, this is how you're bad, Tulsi. This is how you're this evil person. You want to meet with these people? You want to talk to them? Well, of course she does. She's working in foreign policy. She wants to go and talk to these people who are in these other countries and figure out what the heck is going on, how we can, and how it affects our people, how it affects our country, how it affects our army, in the infantry, all these people, right? All these lives that she talks about losing to these things. She's trying to figure that out, right? And then he points to that, and then he points to her meet, and then I think, and actually this might be whenever Kamala Harris talks to her, so I'll save that for another time. But he specifically brings up Assad, and it is honestly disgusting when she's going on and talking about that's what leaders do. Leaders meet not just with enemies, but with not with just friends, but with adversaries as well. Mm-hmm. You're not just gonna talk to your friends all the time and never talk to your adversaries or never talk to the people who are doing these terrible things. You're not gonna just ignore them, right? Like that's not what it's supposed to be, or that's not how it's supposed to go. But and sometimes you have to meet with these people, especially whenever those things are affecting your country and affecting your people and affecting your army. You have to talk to these people. Pete Buttigieg treats it as if she's like cooperating with Assad and trying to help Assad and prop up Assad, just like the media has been. They're trying to make it to where she's like this goatee for Assad, like she's working for him, and it's disgusting and terrible, and it's fear mongering at its most basic.
Well, let's just think about this though. How many not our parents, but how many? Because our parents are more on the right side.
Sure,
but how many people are watching this debate and they're passively watching it?
Sure.
How many people are actually listening to the conversation?
Right.
The goal is that this debate is so designed for the passive watcher who's on their iPad, who's playing a game, who's doing whatever,
who's having a party, a watch along,
who's talking to others, and then they hear these zingers and the laughs and everything else gets you excited, and it's like, I genuinely wonder, and this is my concern for 2020, is how powerful is that? How powerful is passive watching for the election? How many people who, are on Twitter, are on Facebook, saying that Tulsi got beat by Buttigieg on this little scuffle? How many people watch the full segment?
Sure. And actually listen to what
the content was, because
I'm sure they'd agree with a lot of things that Tulsi was saying. They would see where she's coming from.
They would,
right?
But the problem is people again, like they have this very much weird mindset that we need to be the world's police. Like a lot of our parents do that stuff, and what Pete is doing, whenever someone says we're gonna do training, it's code for we're gonna send troops, and it's a military operation.
It's another way for the bully to put a little outpost. Like you see it all the time in video games, right? You have like a guy who owns an island, and that island has these different places all over that island, these little sub-communities that you have to go take over so you can take over his whole thing. It's the same kind of idea, right? We literally put we put ourselves in places where we really shouldn't be, and put ourselves there aggressively, and then we act like, if anybody tries to fuck with us, we're like, yo, step up, we're gonna fuck you up, we're really gonna destroy it. And it's crazy how much we instigate those things. But going back to my point, I actually kind of lost myself for a little bit, but I want to make sure that I say this real quick before we finish talking about Buttigieg specifically. I think that whenever she was talking about meeting with previous people, she was talking about meeting with Stalin, meeting with Gorbachev, meeting with these people that were dictators, were terrible people. And Buttigieg made a little sly comment and said, yeah, like Trump meeting Kim Jong-un. Out of all the things that Trump has done, that's probably honestly one of the better things that he has done.
I would agree.
Is go and talk to someone who is clearly kind of unstable and could very much be a threat to anybody. You should meet with that person. You should talk to that person. You should try to make peace. That's what the UN exists for, right? To make sure we all work together and we cooperate with each other. And that Buttigieg treated that as if Trump meeting with him was like this terrible thing. And it showed just how much inexperience he has in that regard, because it showed that he's not willing to actually have these conversations. Instead, he just wants to go with the world's bully thing. He just wants to keep going with these genocides, but these regime change wars, which actually can lead us right into talking about Tulsi and Kamala.
We're done. You know what? We have to go by the timer. We have to obey the timer now.
We don't stop recording though, Kyle.
Yeah, no, but we're pausing and going to the next topic, which is Tulsi versus Kamala.
I love how I just smoothly move us into it, and Kyle's like, "Stop the presses. We have to talk about this next thing." And I'm like,
I want us to have a little I want to skip through these things a little bit.
Why not? Anyway, moving on. Tulsi and Kamala. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So that there's an easy way to kind of put ourselves back in that conversation. So Kamala Harris did similar.
Pete basically had his shot at Tulsi.
And she shut him down. I think Tulsi really shut him down.
And she did a good job answering back and clapping back. Now, Kamala, for some reason, she had a very weird start to it, which was like this, like kind of like, this made me mad more than anything, because I really hate when people invoke Obama as a method to shame people in the party. Like,
if you critique Barack Obama, then you are a terrible person, and you deserve to be like, you're just terrible.
One thing, but Tulsi during 2016 was recognized as one of the top future Democrats. She was on the DNC board.
Background.
She was super respected. When she really stepped down and endorsed Bernie, that's when all of the party hate came her way.
When she was talking about DNC corruption specifically, when she was like, yo, wait, this is like really messed up what you guys are doing. You guys are literally trying to push us back into this terrible mindset and keep this going.
She basically recognized that the party was rigging stuff behind the scenes against Bernie. We found out the debate questions were being handed off, but this major clip right here is just, I don't know how Kamala Harris comes back from this election. I don't know how she wins.
The thing is, she was already she's become a bottom tier candidate because of the last interaction that they had. And I think that really what Kamala's mentality was going into this was literally, and I think this, I don't know, I have no insight onto this, but I think that her team was literally like, or she was like, Tulsi ruined me in a sense.
She has to go.
I have to try to get her. And the thing is, also MSNBC and all the news media loved it because it's drama. It's more drama. But the thing is, this drama is important to talk about and discuss and break down in a way that's critical. So let's actually watch this clip. Let's talk about it, and then we'll talk about it more
Kamala
later.
Harris.
Yes, an interchange between Tulsi and Kamala.
And it's the first clip on the top, I believe.
First clip on the top. That means it's the most important.
This one is just
it's not old white man talking about Tulsi.
It's the very first clip on the top. It's Tulsi. It's I separated them in little bars, but I might have done a bad job at that.
Attack fighting back against.
Let me see.
I'm gonna yell.
Hang tight. We're figuring it out. Bro. We're figuring it out.
Very top. It's this one right here.
And I know we're kind of talking about the drama.
That one was the old white guy. This one here. Is that one? Yeah, sorry. No,
my bad. I should have heard it. I need to figure out.
I'm going to fight you. I love you.
So, this is just...
It's unfortunate that we have someone on the stage who is attempting to be the Democratic nominee for President of the United States, who during the Obama administration spent 4 years full-time on Fox News criticizing President Obama. Who has spent full-time criticizing people on this stage as affiliated with the Democratic Party. When Donald Trump was elected, not even sworn in, buddied up to Steve Bannon to get a meeting with Donald Trump in the Trump Tower,
fails to call a war criminal by what he is as a war criminal, and then spends full time during the course of this campaign, again, criticizing the Democratic Party. What we need on the stage in November is someone who has the ability to win. And by that, we need someone on that stage who has the ability to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, and someone who has the ability to rebuild the Obama coalition and bring the party and the nation together. I believe I am that candidate.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes.
Congresswoman Gabbard, I'll give you a chance to respond.
What Senator Harris is doing is unfortunately continuing to traffic in lies and smears and innuendos because she cannot challenge the substance of the argument that I'm making, the leadership and the change that I'm seeking to bring in our foreign policy, which only makes me guess that she will, as president, continue the status quo, continue the Bush-Clinton-Trump foreign policy of regime change wars, which is deeply destructive. This is personal to me because I served in Iraq. I left my seat in the state legislature in Hawaii, volunteered to deploy to Iraq, where I served in a medical unit where every single day I saw the terribly high human cost of war. I take very seriously the responsibility that the president has to serve as commander-in-chief, to lead our armed forces, and to make sure always, no, I'm not going to put party interests first. I will put the interests of the American people
Thank you, Congresswoman. I want to
else.
briefly give Senator Harris a final second to respond.
I believe that what our nation needs right now is a nominee who can speak to all people. I spent my entire career standing mostly in a courtroom speaking 5 words, Kamala Harris for the people. And it was about all the people, regardless of their race, regardless of their gender, regardless of where they live geographically, regardless of the party with which they're registered to vote or the language their grandmother speaks. We need someone on this debate stage in November who has the ability to unify the country and to win the election. And I believe, again, I am that candidate.
Can you go to the comments real quick, actually? Scroll down real quick. I want to see what these comments say.
Well, we only have so much time. We're not going to discuss the comments right now.
No, I just want to see them because there's this video got more dislikes than it did likes. Like
240 dislikes.
In here.
133.
Let's go back. So one thing that's important to note, though, before we keep going, is that right before Kamala Harris was Kamala Harris didn't start that conversation. Tulsi was asked a question, and she brought up and she made a point to mention the Bush, Trump, and Clinton regime wars. She talked about the foreign policy and how it was messed up and destructive to start, right? And then they had Kamala respond to her. So what we saw to start the clip was Kamala Harris talking like in response to what Tulsi said. Tulsi had some very substantive things to say about the fact that our country continues to be the world's bully, like you said, continues to go to these countries where there are resources to take, puts our armies in situations where we can overthrow this dictator who's a really terrible person. We frame it that way to the American people. We make it look like we're doing a really good thing, and then we take their resources, and then we put them in disarray. We basically destroyed what that nation was by getting involved in a way that we really should not.
If we destroy, it's not that big deal.
Yeah, and it's not that big of a deal because they are a dictator, so who cares? And it's away from us, so we don't think about it as citizens now, as people watching these things. We don't think about it. And Tulsi's trying to put that light on that and say, hey, look how messed up this is. Look how corrupt this system is. And Kamala's first response was literally to say, hey, why are you trying to diss on Obama like you're saying? People really respond strongly, especially the media, to any sort of criticism of Barack Obama and the fact that he was involved in all of these things.
How many people are passively listening again?
There are plenty of people who are passively listening.
So people are walking in their house, they're just not listening to this. And I honestly,
there are people who are actively listening. We can't discredit and say that all people are actively listening.
I don't think they are. Because I'll be honest with you, I've watched boomers watch the debates, and they're always doing something else.
Sure.
And maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just perspective. That could be anecdotal evidence.
And it could be just me trying to see the glass half full and saying that there are people who are paying attention. Because if there are people that are paying attention, they're seeing this.
I'll word it this way.
Obvious.
It's very, very hard for me. Watching the debate last night, it was very hard for me to stay focused on it.
Sure.
Because it's
especially when like Amy Klobuchar's talking, or when someone who has just these when they have these canned things and they go on for 2.5 minutes, and you're like, you've been practicing this for freaking 6 months, and you're just not thinking critically.
I'll word it better. These debates are structured solely to produce TV clips.
Oh yeah.
So
For the drama,
if they're,
for us to talk about it.
If they're only structured for that purpose,
Sure.
they're not going to be substantive. They're going to be zingers, and it's going to be quick bashes back and forth over and over again.
But the thing is, you can do it in a way that is constructive, like Tulsi was doing. I would argue that when you're talking about who won the debate, I'm not going to say that Tulsi won, but she brought up a lot of good points. And the thing is, and I'm going to say this too, to give credit to people who I don't agree with and I think that are really kind of terrible, Klobuchar made good points. There were times where she would say things and I'm like, oh, I really agree with that. And you're right. They're trying to get people's attention with those zingers, with those things that are like, hey, let me get you. But the thing is, when we're watching this now, we're past that. We've been watching these things. We've been watching these debates for years, for decades. And now we have people, generations now, that are watching it and going, hey, but man, I'm still struggling out here. And I still see these people that I know and love. And I still see us going to these wars and doing these things that don't make a lot of sense. And these dots aren't connecting, and you guys aren't addressing these things, right? It's a problem, and we see through what this media is trying to tell us, because they're clearly trying to tell us something.
I mean, I hope,
and that's progressive policies are terrible.
I hope that young people are looking at it more critically.
I really hope so too,
because whenever,
and even like what we're saying, what we're saying,
when I'm seeing this, the way it's presented and the way it's angled, it's just, it is. I mean, it's a staged show, and it's just it's so put in a way that does put this light on a lot of different policies and issues. So, like, one of the things with that little exchange that I found interesting was, you know, it is so interesting that whenever, you know, both Pete and Kamala, when they got put in a corner, they basically changed topics. They don't actually even, it's not even like, it's very interesting that, like, you know, you can invoke Obama to get off topic, or you can invoke a ridiculous claim to get off topic. And it's that none of them actually met her and actually challenged what she said. She even called out Kamala for, she said she's invoking smears rather than just
critically coming back, because they both know that there's nothing they can say to address what she said that actually will be bought by anybody. Yeah. So instead they go with the already ready-made stories that the mainstream media has given them. Assad, Barack Obama's the best thing to ever happen in the entire world ever. Those things that have been constantly told, like all the time to those boomers, right? And they can just go, oh, I can just pull this card real quick, put that down, and oh, now everybody's gonna laugh at my little zinger, and no one's gonna pay attention to the fact that you just literally, in a 30-second, you know, bit, constructively talked about our terrible foreign policy, right?
MSNBC after the debate just tried to trash Tulsi.
I know,
saying how bad she did and stuff like that, and it's so funny because, like, it's at one point they said, I think all the candidates did good except Tulsi, and I was just like, yeah, it was so blatant. It's Dude, just so.
You know what's funny too? Kamala trashed Tulsi for being on Fox News. Guess who was on Fox News immediately after the debate? Kamala was on Fox News immediately afterward talking about the debate. And she was talking about how it's so terrible for her to be on Fox News. She was talking about how she was on Fox News criticizing Obama on Fox News. Probably because MSNBC and CNN wouldn't let her criticize Obama and the regime and the wars that were happening.
MSNBC and CNN don't invite her on the show as much. Tucker Carlson, for some reason, she is on Tucker Carlson a lot. And I know a lot of progressives who dislike that, but Tulsi right now has the highest percentage of Republicans that she gets to come over to our side of the party.
And they use that against her.
I don't know how that's a negative.
That's the thing. That's the thing that gets me too, and that's the whole point of why we started trying to make these videos.
And honestly,
right? We started trying to make these videos because we want to talk to both sides of the party and be like, hey, yo, we agree on things and we disagree on things, but there are a lot of things that we agree on and we can stop fighting about.
That is one thing with I like Bernie for his movement. I like Tulsi because, unfortunately, she meets so many people, and I want a president who's going to talk like that. I want a president who's going to just say, you're lying, you're smearing, and I want angry Bernie, and I do wish Bernie would be, like, there are clips in the 90s of Bernie being so brash, so with it, and it's like...
And you can kind of see it whenever he's frustrated with people, like when he said, thanks, I wrote the damn bill. And he's frustrated, but he's not. But the thing is, I don't think that I think that he doesn't take this, and it's something that his campaign manager has said, they don't take the debates that seriously.
Yeah.
They're taking going door to door and talking to people and having phone calls and talking to the American people as much as possible and having rallies and doing these things and really figuring and like getting to individuals and trying to change the structure of how things work, right? The structure used to be you watch the debates, you choose based off the debates. Now Bernie's like, I want to go and I want to talk to these people and I want to actually go to their houses and do it in a more, I'm not saying that he created canvassing, but he's doing it in a much more comprehensive and insanely more effective way, in my opinion.
No, I agree. It's just it's interesting to say the least.
It's very interesting. And I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit when it comes to whenever we address the smears on Tulsi via MSNBC and all that stuff. But I know that you have plenty of stuff that you want to go in more depth with when it comes to specific things that people said about Tulsi Gabbard.
This next video is 100% what I want to talk
be discussing
about.
That. Absolutely.
This is the smear video. This is the one of the old white man named Chris Matthews.
No. Chris Matthews? Is it Chris Matthews?
It's Chris Matthews, yeah. He's a horrible human being.
Dude, he's atrocious.
I'll fill you in on it in a second.
We're gonna take a look at this clip now. But this is just
Luigi back there killing it.
Luigi, you're doing amazing, my dude. Amazing. The real MVP. He's doing the work. We're just talking.
The thing about it is like, I don't know, it's like you see like, I don't know. I do get concerned for 2020 because like I said, like so many people are watching this debate. And I do believe more people watch passively, and the main reason is because there is no way Joe Biden is leading in the polls with people with people paying attention. It's really hard for me to believe that. I'm genuinely concerned because I just think boomers don't have it, man. I think they're gonna mess it up. You know, I worry so much about our parents who. I mean,
our parents aren't necessarily boomers. I think our parents are Gen X, aren't they?
Are they classified as Gen Xers?
Yeah, I believe so. Boomers would be the generation before them.
Interesting.
Their parents.
This is
the clip. So yeah, we're going off a little tangent about clips.
Here we go. So this is Chris Matthews. This is
Steve Schmidt, not Steve Matthews.
Steve Schmidt was given 2 different opportunities to smear Tulsi. Immediately after the debate, he was given 5 minutes, and then he was given this opportunity after Chris Matthews invites Tulsi on the set.
Great, let's watch it.
I've got Tulsi Gabbard, and I got Steve Schmidt up there that took a shot at you a while ago. I want to give him a shot. Steve, would you repeat what you said about Tulsi Gabbard?
This woman, I thought your performance was dishonest. I think your positions are extreme, and one question I would have for you is why did you go to Syria to meet Bashar al-Assad? What was the intent of your visit there? And why were you so dishonest with regard to the mayor, insisting that he called for plans to invade Mexico, which of course he did not?
Tulsi.
Well, if you look at what the mayor said in response to the woman who asked him the question about Mexico, I was merely citing what the mayor responded to. Look, the commander-in-chief and the qualifications necessary to serve in that role are incredibly important. The experience and understanding about foreign policy, about national security, is something that I bring to the table and that I challenged Pete Buttigieg on, showing that he lacks that experience. I've served in Congress for 7 years on the Foreign Affairs Committee, on the Armed Services Committee, on the Homeland Security Committees, meeting with world leaders, working with military commands, getting high-level national security briefings focused on ensuring our nation's security, the safety and security and the freedom of the American people, and working towards peace. Right. That was why I was willing to meet with the brutal dictator of Bashar al-Assad in Syria in the interest of peace and national security, and why as president I'll be willing to meet with any leader from any other country if it means that we are able to ensure no more of my brothers and sisters in uniform are needlessly, unnecessarily sent into harm's way, fighting in these regime change wars that have been so costly and so destructive to my brothers and sisters in uniform and to every single American. This is why I'm calling for this sea change, a shift in our nation's foreign policy, away from the Bush-Clinton legacy of interventionism and more regime change wars, and instead toward a foreign policy that leads with diplomacy and cooperation.
It's not Bush, Clinton, Obama.
It's Bush, Clinton, Trump.
Okay, let me ask you about Bashar Assad. Is he a war criminal?
There is the international criminal court system set up in place to determine that fact.
What is your
if he is a war criminal,
you think it's an open question?
Then he should be indicted as such.
You believe it's an open question at this point?
I think that we have processes in place to deal with these kinds of things. My interest as a candidate for president and the kind of leadership I'll bring is putting the interests of our men and women in uniform, our troops, the American people in our country first.
I like this fight because it was the first time the debate really, thanks to the moderators, moved to international policy and leadership of this country in terms of commander-in-chiefdom. Let me ask you about the fight in the Democratic Party. I'm looking at all the Democratic establishment figures, people I normally like: John Kerry, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton. You get down the list, they all supported the war in Iraq. Yeah. Why were they hawks? Why so many Democrats who the party is not hawkish? Yeah. Why are so many of their leaders hawks?
Look, I point to two things. One is you have the foreign policy establishment and the military-industrial complex in Washington that carries such a huge amount of influence over both parties.
Is it campaign contributions?
Both political parties.
I'm trying to think of why are politicians so hawkish in your party?
There are campaign contributions, the influence that these contractors have in this pay-to-play culture, this corrupt culture in Washington. But you also just have people who don't understand foreign policy and who lack the experience to make these critical decisions that impact our lives and the safety and security of the American people. This is what is so serious about what's at stake here.
Tonight I heard three people. Two, you and Bernie Sanders were against both Iraq wars, right? I join you on that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with
So I didn't get to watch this live. You got to watch this live. So tell me about your reaction to this as it was happening.
The anger. Just,
oh man.
Just, it's, you know, for one, before they did this, they went a full 5-10 minutes of just trashing her and trashing her. They invited her on the set. They let Steve get one more good hit at her.
Yeah.
And Chris actually lets her kind of
answer the question.
Answer some questions.
Which is great. Her answer, phenomenal.
Phenomenal,
because he literally tried to just basically repeat the Buttigieg points, but like as an attack, like, why didn't you address them? And she was like, I did, and I did it by citing what he said. Like, I cited, like, she's like, I got it from him directly. This came out of Buttigieg's mouth. It's not like I made this thing up.
The thing that's funny is the Bashar al-Assad thing has been used now for 2 years. You know, she's went on Joe Rogan twice to address this. Two different times.
I highly recommend you go watch those videos. As whatever your opinion may be on the Joe Rogan show, some people have an aversion to it for whatever reason. I can promise you that it's mostly because he's talking to both sides, and that's really controversial to a lot of people. But the thing is, and he has given a voice to people that I don't necessarily, I definitely don't agree with their perspectives. I want to be able to hear what everybody is saying, because if we don't hear what everybody is saying and everybody is silent but has these thoughts and opinions, then it's way more dangerous. So her going on there, and it's not like she's like this crazy person. But I highly recommend you watch both of those videos. I think, Kyle, you agree. We definitely agree. You should watch and just listen to what she has to say, and just treat her as a human being, that you're just without the media bias, without the things they're trying to shove down your throats. Really listen to what she has to say. The same with Bernie, and the same with Edward Snowden, to be completely honest.
Well, all those are videos, but let's go back to the Tulsi thing, because like, literally we are seeing a smear that is being used over and over and over again when someone's already addressed it.
Yeah.
For the purpose of
perpetuating that smear.
But also, this is manufacturing a war too. I mean, we want to go to Syria. Yep. So there is I hope I'm not messing this up, but there is a natural gas pipeline going through Syria. And basically, if we were to invade Syria and we were to be able to install someone that we trust,
sure,
Saudi Arabia would be able to funnel a lot of its oil to Europe. So it's
all about natural resources.
It's all about natural resources.
It's playing a game of Risk and literally saying that one country has something that you really, really need, and going, hey, if we just put a bunch of our troops there, then we win that country, and then we get power.
And if I'm wrong, please challenge me.
Call us out.
Because I'm not. This is something that is kind of insane, that that Russia's in a whole bit in this is that like the whole to get in the Syria thing, this gas pipeline, Russia benefits from it because Russia doesn't want the pipeline to be given up because why? They sell their natural resources to Europe.
Sure.
This is it's a game of risk. It is. The goal taking Syria is that it would weaken Russia and that would also strengthen our ally that is Saudi Arabia. So
Saudi Arabia also, we can talk about that as a specific topic, I believe, but like that's also a really problematic relationship that we have with Saudi Arabia. It's probably one of the most problematic relationships that are going on in international government.
Is so many progressives normalize it. So many progressives normalize having this relationship with Saudi.
Netflix took down the Hassan Minhaj video talking about Saudi Arabia and like actually addressing Saudi Arabia.
When did they take it down?
They took it down. I forget when, but I know it's been. I want to say.
Did he say something particular to get it taken down?
No, there are articles. I don't remember. It's been long enough that my ADHD brain does not remember the content. But I remember reading about Hassan Minhaj, talking about it. And I remember seeing that Netflix had taken down the Saudi Arabia episode. If I am wrong, let me know. If that Saudi Arabia episode is still on Netflix, that's great. It needs to be because there's a lot of very good points that are brought up.
I wonder why they took it down.
Well, of course they took it down because we benefit from the relationship we have with Saudi Arabia so much.
It's so weird because
there's so many different reasons.
It's so weird because Apple, not to kind of like deviate this tangent, but let's keep going with it. China, Apple is not emailed their content creators and told them they're not allowed to critique China.
About Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a topic we should definitely talk about, I think, further and a little bit more.
I mean, it just shows again this manufactured consent. I mean, we are making the claim that our media is completely controlled by the powerful.
Yeah.
And that
corporations own them. Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos and was a co-creator sponsor of this debate. So the questions that were written, the questions that were posed to these people were written by people who are in the pocket of a man who wants to keep as much money in his pocket as possible. He just got second place to Bill Gates, my friend. He's now the second richest man in the whole world. He's got to step up his game in some way to get more money, doesn't he? I mean, that's basically what the idea is, right?
He's going to catch him.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to catch him, man. It's Amazon. It's insane if he doesn't. But to kind of, I mean, we still have some time to talk about whenever we're discussing Tulsi and the media itself, discussing her and discussing that that video in particular. Actually, let's go back to that video because I think it was really interesting that. Again, first, they throw that cheap shot in there and they go, why'd you say that we were going to invade Mexico? And she's like, well, I just cited what he said. That's all I was saying. It was problematic what he said. I was trying to criticize him about it. Of course, he made it seem like it was about invading Mexico when it really wasn't. And then they go even further and then he starts talking about, she says, and I thought it, but she says Trump and Clinton regime change wars and doesn't mention Obama again. She mentions Obama in the debate. And he's like, why didn't you mention Obama anymore? Why'd you stop mentioning Obama? Like he's trying to catch her throughout the entire conversation. There's little points like that where he's just trying to like get her, right? Even toward the end of it, he's trying, the questions that he's posing are trying to they're traps. He's trying to get her to say a certain thing so they have a bit to talk about for the next 3 months or however long it is until the next debate. They have a talking point to be like, she said this about how hawkish Hillary Clinton is or how hawkish these people were or how bad Obama was, all these different things. I'm sure there's an article right now that talks in detail about the fact that she didn't mention Obama after the fact, but did mention Obama during the debate. You know what I mean? It may not be an article that's super popular, I mean, and I might be wrong, for sure.
It's really interesting how many people can't, like, why can't we criticize our own?
It's a big problem.
Like, the Republican Party got to criticize their own, and, they at least got away. I mean, like, Trump is bad, but, I mean, to say the least, but, I mean, the establishment Republicans aren't better. And that's my personal opinion. My personal opinion is establishment Republicans like Bush are unfortunately sneakier in different ways.
They put a nicer face on it.
It's a yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we've talked about this in detail, and it's something that may seem like an unpopular opinion, but the Trump presidency, for all the evil and all the terrible things that have happened underneath it, I think that if the right things happen, if something like a movement like Bernie Sanders movement and the progressive movement actually succeeds, and we start to turn around and actually start taking care of our own, and we actually start to stop being involved in these things that we shouldn't be involved in, and we actually start to build our country back up like we used to. We haven't in so long. We actually invested in ourselves. Then we can kind of turn this thing around, right? I totally lost track of what I started with.
Well, you're basically saying that, like, you know, like an extreme version of the Republicans could breed, not extreme, but a Republican movement of them walking away from their establishment could cause us walking away from our establishment.
Trump doing this whole fake news thing, going against the media, doing all these things. Yes.
It sounds bad to say this, but that's the other part of it is like
touched on real things.
We can't even talk about the fact that fake news is real because Trump said it. Because it's Trump's idea.
And people are using, and the thing is, now you have politicians like Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris using that fake news as a weapon. And
well,
it's so much more obvious now because, like I was saying, like I said, we've talked about this ad nauseum, how this Trump presidency, in the end, after years have gone by, if the right things happen, right? If we get a centrist Democrat that actually replaces him and these things stay the same, then everything stays the same and it's awful forever. But if the people respond to what, like, if Trump and his, the entire time he's been here, his tenure as president, helps to rip off the Band-Aid and show the scars that we have, and helps to show how badly how badly this place is run, how badly this country's run, and how much we're just constantly sending people out to war and not putting money back and not taking care of them whenever they get back. You know what I mean? And all these terrible, terrible things, then maybe we'll be better off for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a terrible thing to say, but it's also true. We needed something to just sucker punch us and go, wow.
There's a simulation.
All these things are bad.
There's a simulation where Trump is not president, Clinton is, and Trump is right now campaigning all over the country and
trying to become president again.
They're having their movement. I mean,
and the Republicans are super mad because their guy lost, and they try to blame it on whatever they're trying to blame it on, right?
So.
But
what was the next video that we're going to talk about?
And we're still going to Syria to get. We're still going to Syria. We're still going to war with Syria if Hillary Clinton is president. We're still doing these things.
I don't know if much changes
at all when it comes to policy things. I mean, when the drama surround, like, immigration reform wouldn't be as comprehensive as people think that it would be. People make Hillary Clinton out to be this, like,
the wall wouldn't be built.
This angel. The wall wouldn't be built, but foreign policy would still be a mess. It'd still be in shatters, and we'd still be going to these wars and doing these things, man. It'd be really, really, really terrible in a very different way.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about how Tulsi and how this whole media bias thing is there. Now, the fourth topic was, progressives versus everyone.
Yeah. Everyone versus progressives.
I want to name the progressives in my opinion, and I want you to name progressives in your opinion.
Okay.
So I classify progressives a little more broad. Okay. I will say Elizabeth Warren is progressive.
Yeah,
I'll say Bernie's a progressive. Sure. I will say Gabbard's a progressive, and I will even go as far as say Yang is progressive.
Okay. I actually would agree. I was going to say that myself. I think I was going to be a surprising one for you. I didn't know if you would expect me to say that.
I did not expect you to say that.
There are things about Yang that I think are progressive. There are plenty of things about Yang that are super status quo.
He wants to deal with automation,
and that's great. He's bringing a conversation that we need to have.
Yeah.
It's like I was talking to you about it at work today. We discussed, and we were talking about CRISPR, and we were talking about, like, if you had a chance to, this is a very fascinating question, but if you had a chance to choose things about your kid because they can mess with the DNA and make it to where they're healthy in a certain way, or they can do a certain thing, or their intelligence is a certain level, would you do it? Yes. And you were actually having that conversation with a coworker, but I came in and I was just like, we're not having this conversation, like, you guys are having this conversation, but this country's not having this conversation for another 15, 20 years because we're so far behind. Because we're so busy being distracted by things that aren't a big deal, that aren't, like, things like this Russia situation, things like the impeachment thing that's going on, that's stopping us from actually taking care of the people of this country, right? Progressive policies moving us freaking forward.
It's funny because I was debating a Republican this week about guns.
Okay.
And guns and abortion is obviously what we're debating.
It's always guns and abortion.
Yes.
So, always.
It's funny though because whenever everything like boiled down, I said I find it so interesting that that's all we can talk about.
Right.
All the time.
It's just these things.
It seems that it does, again, to me, feel manufactured because it seems that these conversations for some reason always come up, and in a way that like we can't even talk about the fact that we can talk about the fact that it's wrong to abort a child, and when it's in the womb. But we can't talk about the fact that it's wrong to let someone go hungry. Right? Wrong that someone who is 19 years old can't afford insulin.
Sure.
Is there a difference between aborting a child at birth and not giving someone insulin who needs it?
There is for sure. Well, the thing that I loved about actually something that Bernie said during the debate was he was talking about abortion specifically, and Elizabeth Warren actually had some good points to talk about abortion as well. I did really respect what she had to say, but something that Bernie said really stuck out to me as well, and that he was talking about he thinks it's crazy or funny or something like that, silly or what have you, for the Republicans to be talking about the fact that they hate big government, but they want to regulate women's bodies. And that's the thing that gets me, right? So the conversation surrounding abortion, surrounding when can you have an abortion, when is it the right time to have an abortion, and all these details that we've gotten into with the abortion debate, it all boils down to one thing. The government trying to control the choice a woman has, right? Now, there is a conversation in there that talks about when is this actually like straight up murdering a life, right? Taking a life, and that's a very valid conversation to have, right? But there are so many other aspects of that conversation that literally can just be answered with, it is the woman's choice to do what she feels is necessary for her health or for her situation or for what's going on. Like that's what it is.
But like it's we're kind of deviant, but I like it, and the reason I like it is because it's for me. We
always deviate.
The abortion debate always goes like this for me, and it is that we have to ask ourselves a question in this society, in this world: how do we make it as fair as possible for women?
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is if you're a man. It is weird to word it this way, but if you're a man, if you go have sex, there's no repercussion of fearing to get pregnant. In our society, if you get pregnant, there's this, there's time wasted, and you're wasting time because
so much money, so much mental.
It's so interesting in the country that won't provide healthcare as a human right. It's the same country that demands women to go full term on pregnancy.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
We're not going to take care of you while you're pregnant. We're going to make you pay so much money to take care of yourself and your body when you're pregnant. But you can't choose to not be pregnant. You can't take you can't. We're going to make it to where it's like illegal for you to do that. Like even in situations where like we really think that it should be okay, like most people think it should be okay at a certain point, we're not gonna let you do those things. We don't want you to do those things.
We don't even do sex ed though. I mean, in some states, sex ed is even a joke.
That is like you're saying. That's a very comprehensive topic. The topic of abortion is there's a lot of things to talk about inside it. But the thing is,
there's a conspiracy. You ready for this weird conspiracy?
Go ahead, hit me with it. I love conspiracy. So you got me with the conspiracy.
There's a conspiracy that the reason why abortion is illegal, and the reason why healthcare isn't free, and the reason why college costs so much is because we need bodies for the wars. The phrase. So if
totally serves the military-industrial complex.
If you're born into
Elizabeth Warren talks about the debate.
If you're born into a poor neighborhood, you need to go to college.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
So you agree to serve in our military,
right?
Do whatever,
so you can go to college,
whatever you need, right. you do.
So you can build the family that you want to build. So you can have the career that you wanted to have. It's a gateway to success in a way that is so crazy. Because they get so much money to do it.
It's asking a lot.
But they're literally having to sacrifice everything to do that thing. And it actually touches on a little bit about Elizabeth. And one thing about Elizabeth Warren that I don't like so much, and we're talking about progressives, but one thing that I didn't think that was super progressive about what she said, and a reason why I just can't give her my vote, one of the reasons why, is that she is discussing. She glamorizes the conversation, or like romanticizes is the word I want to use, romanticizes the conversation surrounding the wars and surrounding going to war in the military in a way that I think is super like placating to the military industrial complex. It's the conversation she was having about her family. And you remember she was talking about letters from her brother or what have you. I forget the exact details, but she talks about it a little bit in detail during the debate. And I'm sure explain. I forget the exact details of the clip, but I wish I would have had the clip with me. But she's talking about basically just romanticizing the idea of her brother being off to war, her family being off at war, and wanting to hear from them and all that kind of stuff. And there was actually a question I thought was crazy. And this is in the debate. If you want a clip of it, just talk to me, hit me up anywhere. But you the same way, I'll find it, I'll send it to you. Where they ask her, do you think more people should be enrolled in the military? And she says, yes.
Like
flat out.
Draft?
Yes. Not a draft. It's not a draft that they asked. The MSNBC, it's a terrible question because they had a bunch of terrible questions. But she basically says, the moderator basically says, yeah, do you think that we should have more people enrolled in the military? And again, I'll find it. Look it up. We'll post it in the bottom. We'll post the link there. But that's what you're saying, right? You're saying that the conspiracy theory that you say sounds kind of crazy isn't necessarily so crazy, because what's happening is they do want bodies to go off to war. They do want us to have more kids that we can ship off to another country and sacrifice for some cause that is literally just getting a resource from another place. It's playing the game of risk.
And it's
getting more pieces.
How much longer do we have until we won't need bodies for this war? Or it's gonna be robots. Yeah. It's gonna be whatever, and we need to stop justifying these wars now while we have time, kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. Because we're gonna get in some sort of weird Terminator future where human beings are like these things ostracized and like hiding and just like trying to survive, right? And we just have. I mean, like, think about this. We have a military state as it is right now. Did you see there was a place? I want to say it's Georgia, but it may not have been. It's. I know for sure that it's on the East Coast. There was a literal military vehicle, the big military vehicles with the machine gun guy on the top, and it's got that swivel that goes around, right? You've seen it in video games, I'm sure you've seen it in real life just as much. There was one of those literally just parked on the side of the road, like driving through the streets, right? We kind of are, we're leaning more and more toward a military state. Right.
I want to see that.
You have to take it out. I'll look for the article. I'll look for the clip, and then I'll make sure to post it in the bottom, and I'll send it to you as well.
It is.
It's insane.
I mean, I do think that we were kind of in a military state with just how. I mean, our police officers are afraid wearing full body armor.
And why?
I mean, full body armor.
Because they're told they're warriors who are trying to do the work of the country. It's insane.
It's. I mean, to be honest, I mean, like. I think that a lot of the problems are like it's a system issue more than anything. But
for sure,
we've created a system that cops need to be afraid because I'm gonna get that.
Yeah, we'd have to. That is a wormhole. Let's talk more about this. We're talking about progressives versus everyone, right?
Can we actually? I'm gonna have Luigi get the clip ready. It's the last clip, and it's Amy
Klobuchar.
Amy K. She basically.
You're talking about her basically kind of. So this is where we're going back to attacking progressive policies, progressive ideas, things that are really popular. We talked about last episode, like 70% of us believe Medicare for all is a good thing, and people like Klobuchar and Joe Biden. Joe Biden specifically said that it wasn't when it is. Don't let Joe Biden fool you. Medicare for all is really popular with everyone. Everyone freaking likes it.
Joe Biden's also taking money from healthcare companies too.
He's also taking it from pharmaceutical companies, but Klobuchar does similar things, and this is what that clip does is basically kind of showcase that.
Look at how much money she takes from healthcare companies. It's not that much.
Thank you.
It's really shocking. It was only 350,000. 350,000. But
I would.
I mean, it's in
350,000 is a lot of money to me.
So
to most people, I'm sure you'd take $350,000.
Well, that's in campaign contributions, not like cash. But it'd be interesting to see where her husband works and stuff like that.
So this clip here, you're saying is Klobuchar. So this is the idea we're talking about. People smearing progressive.
This is Chris Matthews admitting that there is a divide in our party.
Not Chris Matthews. But that's okay.
This is Chris Matthews.
No, he's not. His name ain't Chris Matthews. Oh, is he Chris Matthews?
That's Chris Matthews.
Steve Schmidt was the guy that was talking to Chris Matthews.
Steve Schmidt's the bald guy.
Oh, see, I'm messed up.
There's something tonight that is growing within each debate. It is a real San Andreas fault, the Democratic Party today. You can talk all about you all don't like Trump and you all want to get rid of it, but Bernie won't even agree with that. His first chance tonight, and he basically said, this isn't about getting rid of Trump. This is about my big social democratic revolution I want to start, going through the same old litany of numbers. He doesn't accept your argument that you have to appeal to moderates. You got to get some moderate center-left Democrats, some centrists, and some Republicans. Yeah. And then you and Buttigieg and the vice president, the former vice president, all argued you have to go for a larger audience than just the hard left.
Exactly.
He doesn't accept that. And Elizabeth Warren damn well doesn't accept it either. No. That's the fight, isn't it?
It is. And but I also think in the end we're going to be able to unify, because I still believe that what...
Which way?
You within our party.
Who's going to win?
That what,
the moderates or the left?
I will. Why would I be up here if I didn't think so? I think we will be able to work this out because we did it in many past elections. What unites us, Chris, is so much stronger than what divides us. And what I don't like about this is that when you look at just what happened in Kentucky, in Virginia, and they continue to make the case for free everything. And as I said today, I know these things sounds good on a bumper sticker, and maybe they want to throw in a free car, but I really don't think that is what people want. They want a fair shake. They want opportunity. And that's why my bold ideas, which involve a nonprofit public option, which will bring down the cost of health care in a big way and take on the pharmaceutical companies. Their fight is not just with me.
Well, it
is also with the new governor of Kentucky. It is also with those new members in the House that put Nancy Pelosi in as Speaker. And that's what we have to remember here.
What do you think when you hear a candidate saying, I'm going to get you preschool? We're going to pay for it all across the country. I'm going to pay for student loans. We're going to take care of all that. We're going to have health care, if not immediately, within 3 years for everybody. Everybody's going to get free health care.
So here's what I didn't get a chance to say today. When it comes to education, we should be matching our education system with the jobs in our economy. And to me, that means no, you don't just make everything free and you don't pay for free college for rich kids. Look at this. The fastest growing degrees are 1 and 2 years. We do not have a shortage of CEOs or MBAs. We have a shortage of plumbers. And that is the case that I want to make out there, because these are bold plans. They're just different than theirs, and they do not have a monopoly on good ideas.
Is the left being honest?
I think that they are being honest about what they want to do, and I have all respect for them. I like Elizabeth. I like Bernie. I have respect for them. But I simply have a different way. And I think that in the end, this is where the people are in our country.
The moderates will win.
We have to win big.
Okay.
We can't afford to win small and eke out a victory at 4 in the morning.
I'm glad I got the fight right. Because
hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from...
The moderates.
The idea that we have to win with centrism
is so sad.
The idea that we have to go, hey, we need to meet in the middle. We gotta meet in the middle. Meeting in the middle is the most important thing. That's such bullshit,
you're wrong,
bro.
We have to win the Republican vote to beat Trump.
Oh my God, Kyle. How about we just talk to people, Kyle? How about we just talk to people? How about we just ask the guy down the street, hey, yo, what are you struggling with? What do you think your government could do better? Why don't we Leslie Knope the shit out of this?
We can't do that.
Why don't we do that?
We can't do that.
Why not?
Because we have to talk to the Republicans in the suburbs. That was Hillary's plan. Why can't we do Hillary's plan?
Oh, that's right. The Republicans in the suburbs, people with money.
Yeah, we need the people with money.
All those people. Yeah. Those people are definitely going to vote centrist, right? They're going to definitely vote what we want, in our interest. They're going to definitely not care if we go to war with these people so long as they get what they need, right?
No. Here's the thing. Those people have seen past their ways. They're not going to vote for Trump again.
Oh, absolutely not. Of course they wouldn't. He's such an evil man.
No, Trump is going to not. I mean, Trump isn't going to win their votes this time. Not the second time around. I mean, it's not like...
And there's no evidence that he loses to most of these candidates. There aren't polls out there that say that only one particular candidate beats him consistently, right? And by a lot.
Who's that? Bernie Sanders?
Bernie Sanders.
But he's a socialist.
I know it's a dirty word.
Here's the thing.
I know, he's a dirty commie. Here's the thing. He's a dirty commie. He's terrible.
Here's the thing that sucks, is that,
it was a weird little interlude,
so many people don't... I meet so many Democrats who say this to me. They say, I like Bernie, but I don't think he can win.
Right. They like him. You like what he's about. When you write down or you tell somebody, hey, would you want these things? There's business cards that the Bernie campaign has. We have them. There's a business card. Anybody who wants one, stop by. I'll give you 3. I'll give you 20. These cards have the policy that Bernie Sanders wants to enact. Policy that he can enact. And if you doubt that he can enact it, do you remember the interview that he had with some news anchor? I forget now, but they were basically, he was like, how are you going to get these things done? And Bernie was like, okay, so say this person in the Senate, or say this person in the House, or say this representative doesn't want to do what I want to do. Well, I'm going to go to the states, to the people. I'm going to go talk to people and say, hey, remember how you guys want this stuff? Yeah, this guy, the guy you voted for, doesn't want this stuff. He's not letting it happen. He's one of the people that are making it stop. So let's fix that. He's going to do the Trump level of like like calling people out, but doing it in a way that is actually good and progressive and is going to help.
One thing you're going to say about Trump is he is probably one of the best campaigners ever.
All he does is rally, Kyle.
I know, but
all he does is rally.
Guess what? He is so good at it.
I know. Well, he's good at rousing the people that.
You know what? Do you know why he's good at rallying? Because he can't handle meetings.
He can't. He'd rather just say these vague platitudes and these vague things. But I mean, the thing is, he also does, like I said, like it or not, he touched on a lot of things that really bothered us in the sense of we're being told what we think, we're being told what we want, we're being told what's going to win, which is centrism and moderate voting.
Manufactured consent.
They're manufacturing consent from us. They're saying, no, you have to meet people in the middle. These sides are so extreme, we have to go in the logical person, the person who really thinks is going to go and meet in the middle and do this incremental thing that maybe some good stuff happens, but mostly bad stuff.
How many people watch the news and they actually think that this is real?
They genuinely do.
I think that's...
There are people that, whenever Joe Biden said nobody supports Medicare for all, and he looked in the camera and said it, there were people that go, I know.
Yeah.
And there are people, and what's even more sad, Kyle, what breaks my heart even more, Kyle, is that there are people who go, I do, but they listen to Joe Biden, and they listen to what Joe Biden has to say, and they listen to what Chris Matthews has to say, and they go, no one else wants it? Well, I got to give up on the fact that maybe this college debt is kind of suffocating me, and I can't get out of this freaking debt that I'm in. And maybe my mom is dying, or my uncle's got cancer, and he can't really afford to live, and he can't do these things. No one wants these things. So I guess we're gonna have to go on GoFundMe and try our best and hope
that's all great
that someone will donate us some money so we can survive.
That's all great and dandy.
Because Joe Biden says
that's all great and dandy about Medicare for all and stuff. But how are we gonna beat Trump in 2020?
Kyle, I'm gonna propose a really crazy idea.
Okay.
Why don't we just listen to those people down the streets, or those people in the fucking anywhere else besides the fucking suburbs and the places that have all the money? Why don't we just talk to people who are actually in this country, working hard, building this country, doing the things that make this place run and make this place what it is? Why don't we talk to them? And why don't we take them seriously?
You just want to give out handouts.
I don't want to give out handouts. Never about handouts.
It's always about handouts with you. It's literally. This is what I hear. This is what I hear when I say stuff like that.
That's what Klobuchar was saying. That's what he's saying.
I'm being sarcastic, but at the same time, this is genuinely their
argument. It is 100% their arguments, and it's infuriating, and it's crazy that people go with it, and they think that it's so out of left field. It's so bizarre. Like, they treat it as if, and like I said, I know I keep hounding on this Medicare for all thing, but dude, we all want it. All of us want it.
No, we don't, Josh. We like our healthcare insurance.
Stop with the bit. The bullshit is over. We all fucking want this stuff, and they don't want to give it to us. They don't want us to literally have healthcare. Other countries have the ability to go to the doctor if they have a problem. My back fucking hurts, Kyle. It hurts so bad. And if I wanted to go to a doctor, if I wanted to get taken care of, it would cost me thousands of dollars to get this stuff taken care of.
Yes.
It's insane.
Are you wanting me to pay taxes for your back?
I pay taxes for yours, buddy.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to take care of each other.
Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we could say that's an American way? You know what? It's the American way.
The American way is to help your neighbor. The American way is to be there for your family and your community.
I actually saw this bit on
God, if that was only what we said.
It was a.
We don't.
It was a. I think it was Michael Moore's like Sicko movie.
Sure.
So he did this thing where he went to Canada, and this Canadian was talking about how he had a friend come from America to Canada for a trip. They went hunting or something.
Sure.
Or they went like skiing.
Tapping out the trees for maple syrup.
Yeah,
whatever you do in Canada.
Whatever you do in Canada for fun. Literally, he broke his arm while he was there.
Broke his arm. Okay.
They took him to the hospital. They did everything. He waited for his bill. He said he went to a friend. He's like, I need to pay my costs. And he goes, we don't pay for that here. And he goes, but I'm not a Canadian. He goes, consider it a Canadian gift. And they literally fixed his arm for free.
And he would have had to pay thousands upon thousands of dollars for the same thing in America.
His response is, that's the American way. Now go to America and pay for the rest yourself.
Right.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy that we do.
It's such common sense, this stuff.
But the thing about it is, it's people are scared, and it's so crazy because the Chris Matthews, the Amy Klobuchars, the Joe Bidens, they do a better job of fighting Medicare for all and healthcare than Republicans do. And that's
they do. Oh my God, do they do a better job? You do more work whenever you're within, like when you're you can do more damage when you're within. It's a rotten apple spoils the whole bunch, and there's a bunch of rotten apples. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of rotten apples, and they're basically just spoiling everything within. They're doing more damage than people trying to make things bad. Like, that's why people look at Republicans as so ridiculous, because they are so far right and so crazy with what they say with a lot of these things, because they're so far extreme. So we go, oh, let's talk to people who are liberal, try to think, they go, I want to think a little bit more rationally than that. And then the first thing they do is they try to listen to what the left has to say. And what the left has to say right now, for the most part, the centrist left, the moderate left, they just say the same kind of ideas.
Trump needs to be impeached,
perpetuate
Josh.
the same policy. They perpetuate the same ideology.
That's all good and dandy.
But they do it in a less crazy, insane, intense way.
Look, that's all good and dandy.
We had concentration camps for these kids.
But how
during Obama?
How are we going to get Trump out of office?
Then? Huh?
How are we gonna get Trump out of office? Let's impeach him.
How about we talk to them?
No, let's do.
If we talk to let's impeach him on something. By the way, we could have impeached him on 1,000 different, more valid things. No. And this is what we chose. And the thing,
Josh,
is
all that matters is that we get him out of office.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're not going to.
I know, but I'm saying that
the Senate is not. I don't think the Senate. We can talk about that too a little bit. I don't think the Senate's going to make it happen. Obviously, it's not run by Republicans, and they are so partisan.
You're wanting to live in Dreamerland, and all I want is Trump be out of office. I want the good old days when Joe Biden was in office.
Why are you doing such a good job impersonating these people? I hate it.
It's because I talk to him every day.
Yeah, so do I. I get it. That's why it's like it cuts me deep.
It cuts you deep.
You know what I mean? It cuts me deep. But it's insane that, and I know we harped on a line, and the general topic was like everyone versus progressives, but it's really just the government and the media working together to make ideas that are actually better for actual people look like they're insane or out of reach or impossible to achieve. Why can't, how are you going to pay for it? They always say these things about how you're going to pay for it. But we spent $6.7 trillion since $6.7 trillion since 2001 on the wars that we have made.
You know how much profit, Bernie said it during the debate, you know how much profit that he said that the health insurance and pharmaceutical companies made last year?
Oh, I couldn't imagine, but tell me.
$100 billion in profit.
Not 6.7 trillion though since 2001. 18 years. For any of you who are 18 years old, for your entire life, $6.7 trillion on these wars.
In profit though.
No, spending.
Oh, that's
the government has spent.
Well, how much
on these wars?
How much wonder in healthcare?
Oh, I had no idea. But that's a lot of money that we could have used. We could have given. I think we could do college for all, and I think we could do make a lot of headway toward Medicare for all with the same money. But instead, we wanted to go blow some people up and kill a bunch of people that are innocent, or put our own citizens at stake.
I would say, if anything, when it boils down to it, a lot of that stuff is unfortunately manufactured from our foreign policy over the last 20, 30, 40 years. So that's it. Just wanted to say,
real quickly though, guys, I had something from chat.
Sweet, let's see it. Let's see chat.
So this is, I'm gonna show you guys chat since we don't need.
Let's see
chat time.
Chat.
So we have a question from Bulldogs1992.
Oh shit.
He says hi.
It's cool.
But here's the most important question though. What is your favorite Disney movie?
Oh, let's talk about it.
Josh has.
Aladdin is the best Disney movie. Period. Full stop. If you try to question it, you're wrong. No, here's the deal. Aladdin is the best. Robin Williams was at his most hilarious in that movie. His most free. His spirit was unleashed upon animation, and I loved it. The story of a young man who was struggling, who probably didn't have medical care, right? I mean, in a situation with the Sultan like that. Actually, we could probably talk about how the Sultan was probably pretty corrupt. He probably held on to a lot of the wealth. The Sultan in Aladdin? Man, this is not a topic that we should probably get into right now. I'm in a political mindset, so talking about Aladdin makes me think about how corrupt the Sultan was.
Is Lady and the Tramp Disney?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, those were my favorites. Well, but
Lady and the Tramp, you would say is your favorite Disney movie?
It was one of my favorite movies on the kid. I watched it
Interesting.
a lot.
I wouldn't have pegged you as a Lady and the Tramp OG, like number one.
What about
Goofy movie? Honorable mention.
What about is the Aristocrats? Was that a Disney movie?
Yeah.
Dude, I love.
Dude, are you getting on
Aristocrats.
Disney Plus yet? Have you used my login? I gave this boy a Disney
Aristocrats.
Plus login.
Aristocrats. You want to hear something really funny about Aristocrats?
Everybody needs to be.
It was stuck. The VHS was stuck in my VHS.
So you had to constantly watch
So
it.
it was one of the few movies.
So that's like PTSD. You don't want to watch that.
I actually liked it.
It's a good movie.
It's a really good movie.
It's a very good movie, man. Oh gosh, I mean, we could talk about. We definitely are going to stay tuned for that. We're gonna definitely talk about Disney Plus. I want to talk about The Mandalorian with you, man. It's really, really good. I think it's awesome.
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. We should definitely talk about some pop culture stuff. We want to incorporate a lot more pop culture stuff because it's a huge part of my life. It's probably a bigger part of my life than I feel like it is yours. But it's a huge part of everyone's lives. I feel like we could all relate.
I love
this dude has spent. I could probably say 40 hours playing Pokemon.
I am a Pokemon
he's absolutely
master.
loving it. So that's some really cool stuff we can talk about more of too. But yeah, I would say for me, Aladdin is my top #1 Disney movie for sure. Kyle, you'd say Lady and the Tramp would be your top Disney movie?
Actually, I'm gonna say Aristocrats.
Aristocats.
Are they gonna do a remake of that? Is that a thing?
I don't know, like a live action one.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of the live action Lady and the Tramp?
I did.
They're all rescue dogs.
Yeah, I did.
Did you know that?
That's the only reason why I liked
Adorable.
the Ladies in the Trance, because I love dogs as a kid.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't love dogs now? You know what I mean?
And Dalmatians is good too.
Everyone thinks their dog is the best dog in the world, and everyone.
I think Dalmatians.
Right. A wise man told me.
I think
that.
Dalmatians is my favorite.
The 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah.
Glenn Close, classic. Are you talking about the animated? Or are you talking about the
Animated?
Oh dang. Okay, that's also very, very good. Did you know? What's her name? Zombieland. Emma Stone is going to be Cruella de Vil in like an individual movie, live action.
Ooh.
Very interested in seeing that movie.
When's that come out?
I don't know, but guess what else is out, Kyle?
What?
Frozen 2. Oh yeah, going to see it tomorrow with my gal. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
Frozen 2.
Frozen 2. I'm so
The
down
next
for it.
time we see him here, he's gonna start singing Frozen 2 songs.
Oh, dude, I haven't watched the soundtrack.
His favorite the Disney movie Lion King.
Yeah.
Is that what he said? Is that what Bulldog said?
Yeah, Bulldog says his favorite Disney movie is The Lion King.
Lion King. Oh my God.
Are you talking about the live action? Or are you talking about the animation?
What do you think they're talking about?
I want to know
about
what
the
he thinks.
animated version. Oh my God, I don't even know if Bulldogs is still there. Bulldogs, if you're still around, do you think that the animated version is obviously the winner here? Because I feel like you should. I don't know if
we're behind.
Quietly wait.
Both.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. Now here's the deal: the live action version, not terrible. You know what I mean? It's not a bad version. It's just I feel like they lost a lot of the emotion on the faces of these animals. You know, whenever the wildebeest are coming after Simba, and his ears go down, and he's really scared, and it zooms in on him and does that like pan in on his face. That's way better than what they saw in the movie. In the movie, it's just like, I am a cat. I'm scared.
Yeah.
Not as much emotion for me.
Movie
It didn't resonate with me the same way.
The movie didn't give you as much emotion?
It did, but it still made $1 billion because it was great. I still saw it like 2 or 3 times because I love Disney.
Well,
okay. Well,
we need to do Disney. We need to do Disney Plus.
I'm telling you, we should do. We're gonna do more of this more centric around pop culture and stuff like that.
I would love to talk about pop culture.
I mean, Disney Plus we could talk about forever, dude. We could sit. I'm telling you, you could sit in a room for months with nothing else but Disney Plus. And
can we talk about Rick and Morty too?
Oh, absolutely. Great. You watched episode 3 yet?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Well, I think that we should probably wrap this up.
Peace.
Love you guys. Hope that you guys would continue this conversation with us. We'd like to hear more
Thanks,
from you.
Bulldog.
And thanks, Bulldog.
Bulldog, if you want, hit me on Twitter, Seeking Skeptic.
Yeah,
Tweet me.
Yeah, tweet at me. I'm search for common ground. I'm very proud of that name on Twitter. I'm also the same thing on Instagram, but on Instagram it's spelled out, but on Twitter it's SRCH, the number 4, CMNGRD. Just so you all know, that's my Twitter handle right there.
He spelled it.
I need to make sure that everybody knows how to find me. I mean, I only have like 113 followers, but I want to keep talking to people. I want to have people talking to me. Cool. Thanks, guys.